Second Ninja sees you playing as the world's fastest ninja against Mecha Hitler or Robot Hitler. Where did the idea come from for that?
Well, the gameplay came first. Sort of finishing things in 10 seconds, eliminating all the enemies. And Ninja came from that quite quickly, just because it felt really right with the gameplay, with it being very fast. And having the enemies be robots felt right, because it's very instantaneous, you get very quick explosions, it feels like you're getting just really good response. And making them Nazis was more a case of like this internet culture mentality, where it's like if you do something kind of cool, it's like, whoa, that's so Ninja. And if you do something like, if Miley Cyrus twerks, then people are like, oh my god, she's worse than Hitler. So it was all that whole, like, getting that mentality and putting it in a good versus evil story where Hitler's just kind of like a whiny drama queen and like you're just the coolest thing that's ever existed.
So where did the concept for this 10-second burst display come from then?
Playing like a lot of Flash games, I guess. Playing some iOS games. League of E2 was one I played quite a lot of, and a game called Stardash. Where you could finish them in like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and I thought that was really, really cool. And those sort of as extra objectives, but I was thinking, if I make that the main core of the game, and you built around that, how would that play? Would that be interesting? So that's where that came from. Like, I wasn't raised on like Super Mario, I was still pretty young, so I was raised on Newgrounds when it comes to 2D games. So it's games designed with more that style of mentality.
Yeah. So, for instance, things that would have influenced it would have been more like the Alien Hominid variety than anything else.
Yeah, like anything by Adam Atomic made Cannibal, things like that. And Super Meat Boy is pretty obvious inspiration.
Pinpoint controls are clearly like the crux of something that's as fast-paced as this. How hard was that to make happen, especially by yourself?
They weren't so difficult. There's a really nice point when you're making games, which unfortunately happens really early on before all the horrible stuff afterwards, where the first time you're like, oh, this actually works, and then you have this next stage where it's like, oh, this actually feels really, really good. And I got to that stage about halfway through development, and then from that point on it was just very minor tweaks, like slight changes to the jump height, the range of the sword, stuff like that. I mean, it was always being iterated on right up until release, but it was about halfway through the game that all those controls started flipping.
How long has it taken to get to this stage then?
Too long. I didn't know how to code when I started making it.
Oh wow.
So this was like my learning project. I was like, it'll take like 4 months, it'll be easy. It's taken about 2 years. It's out now. And about a year of that was just polishing it.
Which any like major stumbling blocks or hurdles along the way, or like disaster stories of deleting everything?
My own bad code, basically. My code didn't run most of the time, and like it was like dealing with a Jenga tower. Like you took one thing out and it would just all collapse. I was like, okay, I need to rebuild all of this, and that happened all the time. I was rebuilding. Which hopefully shouldn't happen again if I do another project. But yeah, for this one, I definitely had to redo a lot of stuff.
And so far, you've had a very positive feedback since this release?
Yeah, it's been good.
More than you expected, or?
Yeah, well, I've been quite close to it for a while, and it's not the sort of game I would play too often generally. Like, as a game player, it's just not my sort of thing. So as a designer, when I was finishing it up, it was like, I have no idea if this is good. I think it's good. Objectively, it should be pretty good. So giving it to the reviewers and then getting scores back was pretty good. And Let's Play coverage that people really enjoyed it. Players seem to be really, really liking it. I'm very happy with the response.
So when you made it, did you make it, well, clearly you didn't make it as a game you generally play, as you just said, but did you make it for it to be a game that was supposed to be just short, bitty, so you drop in, drop out as and when you want, or you were supposed to initially just try and hone your skills all the way?
I think it can be played either way. I know there are people who sort of drop in and drop out if they have like 10 minutes to kill it, but there are people who will just play it for hours and hours and hours and try and get really high on the leaderboards and stuff like that. So hopefully it can go either way. It's very objective design in that way. I was designing for other people, which made it easier in some ways because I could give it to people and be like, are there any problems with this? And they could tell me immediately what was wrong with it because it's a very simple game, mechanically.
So, working by yourself with this entire project, you say most of the feedback from other players or from friends has been really instrumental in building it, would you say?
Definitely, yeah. Taking it to events, I'm taking it to Game City and stuff like that. So showing it to people in that sort of setting and being like, okay, what's wrong with this? What are the stumbling blocks? what's the button that people keep pressing accidentally when they shouldn't? Like, oh no, someone's exiting out to the menu by accident. Like, just iterating on those little bits of feedback changes the whole game from like a 7 out of 10 to like an 8 or a 9.
Like slow refinement, really.
Yeah, it's that sort of, it's the little things, which is why the polish took about a year.
Have you thought about taking it off from like PC and putting it on the consoles if the opportunity arose, or you're not that possible?
Right now, we're just making sure that the console version, like we're patching it with some new stuff, and making sure it runs really, really well. Then we're looking at stuff like Linux. We've got some stuff going with consoles. The game's made from Game Maker. I'm going to talk to Euro Games, the main Game Maker, because they've got PlayStation 4, PS Vita, PS3 exporter in the works. We'll talk to them about that. So we'll see how that goes. There's nothing set in stone yet, but it's definitely something we want to look into.
Well, thank you very much for that.